Good Wednesday evening, friends. I'm Joe Gillaway, and along with my partner, Bill Bostic, we welcome you to This and That, the podcast. Bill, how are you today?
I'm hanging in there, Joe. Oh,
Hanging in
yeah,
there.
and that's good because I'm
And
still
that's,
I'm still upright. I'm still smiling.
I think our goal is always a little better than that, but there's so many days, so many moments in life that just hanging in there is good enough, right?
Yeah, I'll take it today. I'll take it.
Yeah, I will too a lot of days. So anyway, this is what episode is this, Bill?
My guess is 21.
Oh man, you're hot. I think that's 2 out of 3 you've been right on now.
Yeah, I've been pretty consistently right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very good. And let's remind the folks that this is the People's Podcast, Bill. Not officially, but it's kind of my pet name for this podcast, and it is the People's Podcast. We try to involve the people, the viewers, the community,
yeah,
whoever it is that might be interested in that particular show. We have an interactive, a comments field that people can come in and make comments, ask questions. And then we've put out some pleas, and I'm going to do it right now again. We have some open dates coming up, and if anybody out there has any specific topics or guests in this community, whatever the community is. I mean, most of what we do is like Lower Paxton, maybe West Hanover, but I'm willing to move a little bit outside of that if the topic's interesting enough, and if the prospective guest would be willing to come on and share his or her story with us. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. And let's thank our sponsors, Bill. The
yeah. Let's do that. Yep.
This and That, the podcast sponsors are the Robert H. Hoke American Legion Post 272, Team PA, AAU basketball, and Rickabaz Electric. Thanks to those great local businesses for their continued support of This and That, the podcast. Tonight, we are going to talk to a gentleman by the name of Jason Civitello from Dauphin County Technical School. He's the administrative director, Bill. Bill, what's an administrative director?
Boy, it sounds like a principal to me.
Well, I was wondering if there's also a principal. So the cool thing is about like what we do here is I try not to over research. I try to be very prepared and do some but we're going to find out together for the first time what an administrative director of a high school does. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to talk to Jason from Dauphin County Votech, and that's exciting. We've been trying to put this together for a while. And then afterwards, we're going to use the second episode to do kind of a housekeeping segment. And we're going to talk about the things that you see there. And I don't want to get into them all because that would take us just a few minutes, in it just to talk about what we're going to talk about. But if you see the photos up there on the screen, they're going to be the topics. And we have Jeannie Fortney Webster from the Central Dauphin School Board, who's going to come on and help us break down the top three there. The Landis Field, it's probably in the third year now, but there is a policy about who can enter for sporting events. I think specifically football games. There's a brand new logo for the district. That's right there in the top middle. And then the school bus crisis. So Jeannie knows about these things, and she's going to come in and help us learn a little bit more about them, Bill.
That sounds good. The logo looks good to me.
How about it? And you know what? That's a great segue to tie in that was a Central Dauphin. My understanding is a Central Dauphin graduate. I think it's a woman who's now in her first year in college, who designed the logo. I don't know if she did it in a Central Dauphin classroom, graphic design or graphic art room, or how that came about. But I was in touch today with school superintendent Eric Turman, and he's going to help me contact her and see if she'll want to come on and maybe spend 10 minutes with us, talk about designing the logo, because that's what we do here, Bill, on This and That, the podcast. We talk about this and that, right? That's this and that item,
And then, like you said, we're the People's Podcast.
That's right. And she's one of the people.
Who had that first? Because you've made yours the People's Podcast, and I'm involving the community very much with Linguistown Gazette. So we're both on the same track.
I don't know, Bill. You can have it if you want.
I don't want it. That's fine. I go more with the community.
Somebody's at my front door, and I don't.
Do you have a camera?
I don't. I can see it. It looks like a delivery. Why don't you take over here, Bill, for a minute? It looks like somebody with a delivery I have to sign for. Do you mind, Bill? Are you
That's fine.
creative? Are you creative enough to handle this for a minute?
I'll
All
try to
right,
do it.
that's a lot.
There's nothing like live broadcasting, isn't it? I mean, over the years, some of the shows were live, not too many anymore. I think the evening news still is live, but I'm looking forward to this show. Back in the day, I can remember I went to high school in the 70s, and when it came time for at some point, maybe when I was a freshman, 8th grade, I don't know, but I lived in Dillsburg. We went over to the Cumberland Valley Votech School, and they gave us a tour. And I can remember going around the school. I opted not to. Back in the 70s, they were very much pushing going to college, especially for college prep students. So I didn't opt to do that. I think I might have liked it, though. So that's my creative segue to get Joe back here.
And then the last thing I just wanted to mention very briefly is this is who we're sourcing, Bill.
Okay.
George Hartwick III, a 6th term. I think they call them terms.
Yes.
6th term Dauphin County Commissioner George Hartwick. And I'm going to try to get him on next week.
Yeah, if he's 6 terms, I mean, if that's really true, I think that's a 24-year run.
It could be. He was
4 times 6 is 24, right? What is?
Yeah, Bill.
Okay.
He was a very young mayor of Steelton in his early to mid 20s, and I think he transitioned right over to that job. So he's been a politician like most of his life. But anyway, it'd be interesting to get him on and talk about some county business, Bill. Yep. I think that's it, man. I think we're going to bring Jason Civitello in. How's that sound, Bill?
Sounds perfect to me.
7 minutes we lasted there on that. What do we call that? Do we call that anything?
The opening segment.
Okay, that's right. We do call it the opening segment. Here comes Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hi, good evening, guys.
Thanks for gutting that out.
Is 7 minutes long or short?
Wow, yeah, it didn't seem like 7 minutes. And guess what? The guy at my front door had the wrong address. He was supposed to be at the next door neighbors. But when you see somebody from FedEx that has a package, you get excited sometimes. So anyway, Jason Civitello, am I pronouncing that right?
You got it.
All right. Good. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I'm a Central Dauphin High School, not Dauphin County Votech graduate, but I had a lot of friends that went to Dauphin County Votech, and some of them have done very well for themselves, as a result of what they learned there. So, I want to start with this. There's quite a buzz already with vocational. Votech stands for vocational technical, right?
Yeah.
Okay, schools, and not that people don't want to go to college anymore, because plenty of people are going to college, but college is expensive. People are going just because they feel like they're obligated to, because their parents went, because they're getting forced into it. And then they're incurring hundreds of $1,000s worth of debt sometimes, and they're not even using their degree. And listen, I hope if they go to college, they get a degree and they're using it and they're doing well. And I'm sure you do too, Jason. But we're here to talk about the alternative, which is a great alternative. And it's probably not even fair to call it an alternative. It's just another approach to starting a career, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Anyway, what does an administrative director do?
So, I heard you guys talking about it when I was in the green room. So, basically we're like a mini school district all in one building. So the administrative director is like the superintendent. We have principals, we have assistant principals, we have special ed director, we have human resources, we have a business manager. We have everything a school district would have all in one building. And my job is to oversee all that and make sure that everything we do is in the best interest of our students.
Okay, so that's a real job then, right? That sounds like a lot of responsibility. Yeah. So I think we got the right guy on the show here.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you one more question. I'll turn it over to Bill, because I think we've both been preparing for this show. So what is your background? Anything to do with the trades? They call them the trades.
Absolutely. So I can give you, I'll try to, it's a long history, but I can try to give you the quick rundown of it. So I grew up in a very hardworking family. My grandfather was a mason for many years until he was 72 years old. Both my parents eventually became teachers. My dad was a hard worker as a mason with my grandfather. My grandfather wanted him to go to college. He became a teacher. My mother was also a very hard worker. She grew up literally dirt poor and was the first out of 10 children to go to college, and she became a special education teacher. My first go around of college, because I was in the era, I'm 52, so I was in the era of, college is for everybody. That's the only way to be successful. You need to go to college. Well, I didn't buy in fully right away. As a matter of fact, I joke around and I say the only reason why I went to college was to play baseball, because I thought I was going to be a Yankee.
Of course, yes.
I
thought I was going to be a Philly, Jason.
So when that didn't work out, I started thinking about things, and I went out into the workforce, and was fortunate enough to land a few jobs that allowed me to travel across the country. One company I worked for was Petco, and I eventually worked my way up to regional coordinator, where I was in charge of new construction and new acquisitions, because they were expanding greatly. The problem with that was when I started having children, I didn't like being all over the country, so wanted to go back to my roots. I grew up helping my grandfather, who I mentioned was a mason. So I went into the masonry world. I did that for about 13 years or so. Had my own business. I did it longer, but had my own business for about 13 years or so, and was ready for a change when I was around 38 or so, 38, 40 years old. And I thought to myself, I was looking at jobs. I'm thinking, what can I do to pass along my trade and kind of my family tradition. And a job came up, not at Dauphin County originally. There was a job in Lancaster County, CTC. I was there for a year, but then when this one opened up, it was perfect. So I started off as the masonry instructor at Dauphin County Tech. I took over for a teacher who was here for 20 something years, which, he had big shoes to fill, but ended up fitting in pretty well. The program started doing extremely well. And again, I always looking to better yourself. So I decided I wanted to go into the administrative role. So started taking courses to finish my bachelor's. All the while before that, I should say, when a CTE teacher is hired, they are required to get certifications, a CTE 1 and a CTE 2. Those are college courses that they need to acquire in order to keep their jobs. So when we hire a CTE teacher, you're hiring them for their experience in the trade.
Right.
Then you teach them how to teach afterwards. So after I taught for about 7 or 8 years, like I said, I wanted to continue to make myself better. So I started taking the administrative certification courses, ended up getting that along with my master's, and I'm on my way to get my doctorate now. It's going to take a couple more years, but so I kind of tell people I'm like the epitome of career and technical education. You started off in the trenches, gave me an opportunity to better myself, to educate myself, and here I am. So
you have it all covered. I mean, your background, it just seems like you're slinging bricks and mortar, I guess, right? When you were helping your grandfather, and now you're sitting there in a tie and leading young men and women into the next chapter of their lives. That's just exciting, And I know I don't know how this is going to sound, but to me, I'm sitting here listening. It's just like the American dream epitomized. One of those things. If you just get up every day, throw the shoes on, put a good, honest day in, something might happen that's beyond your wildest dreams, and that's kind of what it seems like to me. Bill, you want to jump in, buddy?
Yeah, a couple of things here. I've known a few superintendents in the traditional schools over the years and talked to them. How much different was it with your path to get there? Was it any different than like the Central Dauphin School District superintendent? Was there any differences going into the VOTEC world?
Yeah, so almost backwards. Like I said, when you enter CTE, typically most people enter it as a teacher, and they hire you for your experience. So you have to have a minimum of 4 years of paid experience to even be eligible to teach a program in one of our schools. And then after that, like I said, they kind of teach you how to teach. So you go in there having the knowledge of your craft,
right? And
you're showing the students how to do this. All the while you're taking courses throughout the year, teaching you strategies and how to take assessments and how to deal with situations. So you're kind of, once you enter CTE, you become an adult learner again, and you learn how to do things in education, to help benefit the students.
And what is CTE again, Jason?
Career and technical education.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I will say, Joe, if you don't mind,
No.
so we don't call us vote tech anymore. That's,
Okay.
that's like when we were kids. So and I catch myself doing it every once in a while too. So we're career and technical education.
Okay.
Okay.
Dauphin County Technical School.
All right.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, it was sort of in the same vein as what I said whenever Joe went out to get the package taken care of. How do you introduce students to the VOTEC, the career and technical education? I mean, when I went there to Cumberland Valley School that covered Dillsburg. They just took us on a tour. But I think when you're young like that, it's hard to figure out what you want to do. So how do you help the young people go through that process and maybe be in a better position to say, well, I want to go here versus there if I go this route?
Yeah, that's a good question. So similar as to when you experienced it, we do send our student ambassadors to the middle schools to talk to students, groups of kids, to tell about their experiences in the school.
Okay.
But we also do have middle school tours every year, 5th, 6th, 7th graders, 8th graders, to show them what we do here, what we're all about. They get to see a variety of programs so they can get a feel for what they do. Our existing students are in the program so they can actually watch the students. The teachers will give kind of a recruitment speech. Students can ask questions if they want to. And we actually have an outreach coordinator that is heavily involved in the recruitment and, reaching out to those schools and those students to show them all the great things that we have to do here. So I'd like to start doing that a little bit earlier, because some studies show that kids, believe it or not, start thinking about this in elementary school.
Wow.
So at some point we're going to start doing it a little bit younger as well.
Good.
The last thing I'll ask you is that I think, if I remember right, that in the 70s over at Cumberland Valley, they made it the first year potentially they're there. They did sort of a survey type thing where they went from one area that you were teaching to another. Do you do any of that, or is what you told us what happens?
So yeah, that brings on a whole nother aspect. So we're a 4-year comprehensive school. So we have all of our programs as well as our academics here. So Once the student gets accepted and they get here in August, the end of August, they go through what we call a 9th grade rotation. Okay. And that gives the student an opportunity to go through every single one of our 24 programs for one day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they're getting a real good view of what their life or days would look like if they're in that program.
Okay.
And I always encourage students, I just did it just a couple of days ago on the 9th graders' first day, go through every single program with an open mind. You may have come here thinking you wanted medical, the medical program, yet you didn't know what masonry did. So go through these programs with an open mind. You might learn something that you didn't realize. You might find a new passion. So they do have that good look at all of the programs. And by the end of the first marking period, they've gone through all 24, and that's when the selection process happens. And that's a whole big process where they select their top 5 choices. And that's when it's determined what program they're placed in.
Okay. Now, do you find, Jason, like sometimes a student just traditional school or the Central Dauphin or the Susquehanna Township High School, I don't know what you would refer to that. I would refer to it as a traditional school. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, do you find students that it would be kind of like trying to put a round peg in a square hole? Like they're just not in tune to learning that way or those courses, and then they just absolutely flourish over with you? Is it they just have to find your school? Is that the case with some students, do you think?
That is the case. One of our slogans is find your direction, and that suits students, perfect. How you described it is perfect. A lot of people, I was one of them. I was a student that if I didn't do it myself, or see it a million times, I couldn't just be lectured at and expect to retain it. So here we combine all of that, and we reach a wide variety of different types of learners, and we've had such a huge amount of success with our students with our teaching styles. We try to integrate academics with current technical education, which gives the why. Why am I learning algebra? Why am I learning geometry? And then it's shown in their program of study in electrical or in automotive. Oh, this is why I need to know Ohm's law. This is why I need to know algebraic formulas, because I need to figure out how much voltage goes into a wire and how much resistance there's going to be. So when you see those light bulbs go off, and as a teacher, I taught for about 8 years, it's, that's the best part of doing being a teacher,
Right.
especially in CTE, because you see those light bulbs going off. And I tell the story very often. I struggled in math in high school, geometry, believe it or not, and I had the masonry background. Now, I told you I grew up helping my grandfather from probably 10, 12 years old, and he taught me how to square off a building. That's the 3-4-5 method. If I only knew that the 3-4-5 method was basically the Pythagorean theorem, geometry, a light bulb would have went off, and I would have realized, oh, this is why I need to know this.
Right.
So we try to make those connections with our students so that they see why they are learning something and that they're here for a purpose.
Good. Okay. So when I went to school, Votech, what we kind of thought about Votech, and nobody thought badly about it, but we just thought about the traditional, the electrical, the plumbing, the culinary, the carpentry, and have things changed? I'm sure they have. I mean, I'm not going to ask you for all 24 of the courses that are offered, but what are some of the kind of the newish courses that the average person like myself and Bill, we're pretty average, we wouldn't know that you guys offer?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you mentioned most of the trades, the construction trades, the automotive trades, things like that. But our medical trades, our health science trades are really starting to take off. We have nursing, we have medical assistant, we have exercise sports science, we have dental. Those are the ones that are really starting to take off in this area, I think, due to, UPMC coming into the area, OIP, those types of establishments building up in this area. So there's a need for those types of workers in the workforce now. But we also have engineering, drafting, and design, where we're getting, engineering students that might have that aptitude going into the workforce. And we still have machining. That's one of the more traditional ones, but we're taking it up a notch where it's not just all hand turning metal now, it's learning how to use the CNC machine and how to, get all that equipment programmed in order to be successful in the workforce. We have veterinary assistant, a lot of them become either veterinary assistants or go on to be vet techs or even veterinarians. So, it's kind of a stepping stone. I tell people we do things that typical high schools do, and this is no disrespect to any typical high school. We just do it on steroids. We get already meets in the connections.
Correct.
And we really give our students a step ahead of everyone else because, listen, we're going to get you ready for the workforce. There's no question about that. All of our programs are related to industry, high priority occupations. Our curriculum is aligned with industry, but we're also going to get you ready for college. We're going to get you ready for military. We have some core values, which I can talk about in a little while, but the main thing is we say we make our students employable. And that doesn't mean just for the workforce. It means soft skills. It means being responsible. It means being a leader, being a team player, so that no matter what they do after they graduate, if they apply those core values, they're going to be successful, college, career, military, whatever it might be. So it's like character education.
What are the core values? I mean, is this something that you introduce when a student's brand new in 9th grade and you say, this is how it's got to be while you're here for the next 4 years?
Yeah, we're really ramping it up this year. We introduced it last year lightly, and now we're kind of ramping it up, and some of our rebranding is going to see it as well. We call it the 5 keys to success. It's work ethic, leadership, teamwork, respect, and taking pride in what you do. And I told people, that was something that my grandfather actually instilled in me. And if you apply those to no matter everything you do in life, whatever you do, you're going to become successful if you stick to those values.
So this is not your father's career and technical education. I mean, in a sense it is. I'm sure there's still a whole lot that's very similar to how things were, 30, 40, 50 years ago. But you guys have thoroughly moved into the 21st century and are offering you're in touch with what's going on out there, and you've been able to pivot and offer these things to the students, I can tell. And that's exciting stuff. So let me ask you this: are there business courses there? I mean, because you said that you got into your own business, for 13 years? Did you say you were?
Yeah, I had my own business for 13 years.
Yeah. And I will bet you that you may have had some background in what you did, the physical part of it, but how did you learn how to run the books and the business end of it? Was this something that you had some background in, some training in, or did you have to learn on the fly? Because I'm wondering if somebody gets a degree from your school, they're probably going to end up wanting to run their own business.
Oh, Yeah, quite a few of them do actually. And
Can
yeah,
they
I
learn
mean,
that stuff there, the business end there, while they're at
absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So for me, I learned it on my own because I didn't have enough foresight when I was younger. But we do have business courses, we have entrepreneurship courses, we have accounting courses. Those are electives that our students can take. The students that are thinking they're going to go down that pathway, that's where we steer them so that they have that background, financial literacy, things like that, so that they have a little bit of an idea of how reality is once they leave our walls. So
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, a couple of things. Just to go back to selection of courses, if a student goes into a certain one, they go through that month-long survey type thing where they're going around the different courses and seeing them up close and personal. If they decide down the line at some point that they want to make a switch, how much of a window of time do they have to make a switch to a different program?
yeah, that's a really good question because there is a window. Everything we do on the CTE side of things goes is the hours are counted. So typically, if a student wants to switch their program, they should do it by no later than the beginning of their junior year in order to account for the hours that are needed to become a concentrator in that program. Usually our system of placement works out very well, and we have a handful of students that don't get into their top 3 or 5 programs, and those students are allowed to go on wait lists. Through attrition, some students leave, they move out of the school district, or they want to go back to their home school possibly for whatever reason. There's a wait list that students can go on and be able to go into another program.
And what just to sort of cement it, how you said they would, if they want to change, they should do it no later than at what time, Jason?
The sooner the better, but in order to get the hours in very early in your junior year.
Okay, very early junior.
I think that I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have Billy Joe Layton here. We try to, Jason, bring in anybody that wants to interact on these shows. We try to allow them to do so. And I think her question kind of ties in with what you were just talking about. But Billy Joe asks, how do we encourage a student who is in a shop selected by the school itself and not in any of the 5 courses picked during registration requirement, and is now starting 10th grade? Did you follow that?
Okay, so their student is in a program that was not necessarily on their top choices.
How do we encourage a student who is in a shop selected by the school itself and not in any of the 5 courses picked during registration? So yes, that sounds to be the case.
So without knowing the whole history, the student should go to our guidance office to make sure they are on a wait list for a program that they would like to enter. And of course, make sure the student is keeping up their grades, academic grades, as well as CTE grades, because that is counted as well. Just keep their head up. And like I said, we only have so many spots. That's the unfortunate part. I wish we could take all of the students that apply and give them every single program that they want. But sometimes, that does happen occasionally. But, and I would encourage the student, just because it's a program maybe that you're not aimed for, after graduation, you're still learning some tremendous skills. Just like I talked about the 5 keys, you're going to be able to use work ethic no matter where you go. Right. Accountability, teamwork, leadership, everything you're learning here is usable after you graduate. So I'd like to encourage that student to go talk to our guidance counselor, make sure they're on the wait list for the program or programs that they would like to get into, and just keep your head up, keep trying. It is a process sometimes, and sometimes we do have difficult situations like that.
Okay, understood.
I have another question, Joe. Just one more.
Good.
Is that okay?
No, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to let people know, in Linglestown, I've seen a couple different times where students from your school were on the Coons Park building dugouts. One was actually more masonry than lumber and all that kind of thing. The ones I saw recently, just within the last year, there was more of a wooden structure. But it's really neat to see 10, 12 students out there scrambling around building things, and it helps the community, and they're getting some hands-on training out in the field. That's cool. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, I've heard through the grapevine there's some big event coming around Veterans Day at your school. Could you let people know what that is?
Yeah. So Patty Kim reached out to us, and she has it's an annual event that's a breakfast for veterans.
Okay.
So,
Senator Patty Kim. Yeah, she's now a
yes.
state senator, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Senator Patty Kim, and she reached out to us to see if we'd be able to host it for her. So on November 12th, we're going to have approximately 150, 175 people here for that breakfast. Now, the breakfast is going to be prepared by our students, our culinary program. They will also, serve the guests as well. And we're going to offer tours afterwards. If anyone, any of the veterans or guests want to come and tour the building, we'll be more than happy to, provide that for them as well. So we're extremely excited because not only Senator Patty Kim, there's rumors of other people showing up as well. And I don't want to say it because I don't want them to feel that I'm committing them, but it's going to be a very exciting event, very huge for us. We've never done something like this before.
That's exciting.
Is this something that Lingostown Gazette could cover? You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I try to do, and everyone, I'm sure people here are tired of me, talking. All I do is talk about how great we are, but I truly believe in everything we do here, and I truly believe in telling our story. So yeah, if we can make that work, we'll definitely have you come on down and cover it.
I'll put it down.
We talk about what we care about. We talk about what we love. That's just human nature. So you can't help yourself. If you're excited about something, you're going to talk about it. Yeah. Okay, so I have actually 3 questions left. They all look to be pretty important here. So let's start with the registration process. It's more than just registering, though, right? You have to be accepted. So what are you looking for in a student?
So, like you had mentioned, we're not our father's VOTEC anymore.
Right.
The pendulum has kind of swung the other way, and a lot of it has to do with, it doesn't mean that, we're still getting kids. We have AP courses, we have honors courses, we have clubs, we have activities for the students to do. We're getting them ready for college as well. So it's not the sense anymore where if you're not going to college, you go to CTE. So basically, the way it started, their 8th grade year, our online application process opens on our website in November. That generates a notification sent to the sending school's guidance counselors. And then the guidance counselors and the students and the teachers from the sending schools kind of take it from there. The criteria is based on their attendance, their grades, and their behavior. And interest, they have to write an essay and whatnot. So once they fill out the entire application, it's sent back to us, and they're put in stacks, I guess you'd say. And we have a grading committee, a rotation committee that will look at every single application and blindly and grade all of the criteria that I just mentioned. And then they're put in order, highest grade to lowest grade. And I mean, that sounds harsh, but we had to find a way to do it that was equitable. So we start with the highest and go down for, every 336 spots. And those are the acceptance letters that are sent out. Once those are sent out, we hear back from the student and their family, and they may have changed their mind. They may decide to come, but if let's say they change their mind, we go down to the next student or next 3 students, however that works out. But honestly, we got almost 900 applications. Almost every year we get well over 700 applications. Last year we got about 900. And like I mentioned, we can only take 336. So we had to come up with criteria to accept students. If we were able to take, 400, 500, 600 students, we absolutely would. So that's how students are determined if they're accepted or not.
So they want to, if they have whether or not they have an idea that they want to try to get in there, they want to start becoming good students years prior to that, right? It's not like all of a sudden they got to start scrambling, because that might not help them, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Start thinking early. And, and the other thing is too, if you're one of the, if you're a student, I mean, let's face it, 2/3 of those students that didn't get in, it doesn't mean the door is closed. You can always apply next year as an upperclassman, and we can try to place you then as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What districts or high schools do you serve?
Yep. So we have Central Dauphin, we have Halifax, Derry, Harrisburg, Lower Dauphin, Middletown, and Susquehanna. Those are all our consortium schools. And then we have 3 non-consortium schools. We have Millersburg, Steelton, and Upper Dauphin.
What's the difference between a consortium school and one that's not?
So way back in 1968, when the Articles of Agreement were established, those were the schools that decided to join.
Okay.
So, they get it. They're voting members, basically.
Okay. And then the spots that are available are based on the school's enrollment. Is that true? Is that accurate?
No.
The high school? No. Okay. How are how do you determine how many kids from Harrisburg accept? How many kids from Central Dauphin East, et cetera?
So it's funny. There's no real determination. There's no slots that are available per school. We strictly go by grade, but it does work out where the percentages work. Are pretty even. Let's say if 20% of the CD students get accepted, 20% of the Harrisburg students will also get accepted.
Okay. All right.
But it usually works out that way.
Okay. And then the last thing I have here is, do you still do like a work study thing when you get maybe closer to graduation? Is there an opportunity to get out there, maybe go to school half a day, work half a day, learn what it's like to be out there and actually in the field doing it?
Yeah, that is what all of our students strive for. Co-op, work-based learning, cooperative education. Last year we had, and don't quote me on the number, but it was 160, 170 students out, seniors out working. Cumulatively, they made $1.2 million. And, and let's be honest, we can be the best teachers in the world and we can teach them all we can in a controlled setting. You try to make it as real as possible. And you try to tell them, hey, this is what it's going to be like out on the real world, but they really won't be able to experience that until they're out on the real world.
Right.
And we are very lucky to have a tremendous support from our business and industry partners. We have every year we have a banquet that we hold as an appreciation for them. And this past school year, we had over 400 people come to it. So, they really have embraced, I think the companies are realizing, hey, we need to tap into what DC Tech is doing. It's a good resource. Our students are coming out well prepared, not just with the skills, but with the knowledge and the ability to problem solve and to think critically, and, things like that. And that's why I think, the mirroring of academics and CTE is just as important as, them standalone, because they're able to see how the two go together. So when we send students out, we hear tremendous comments about how prepared our students are. When they get there, they know, okay, the cell phone's no joke. We're not using the cell phone on the job site. They know they're supposed to be there on time. They know how to fill out their paperwork, and get the job done. So I think they're more now than ever, they really are realizing they need to tap into us. We have companies that reach out to us all the time now.
Why don't you take us home with an elevator pitch? I'm sitting here with my wife, Susie, and my son, Billy.
Yeah, I hear Billy.
Tell us, not you, Billy. Tell us in kind of a minute, whatever. You know what an elevator pitch is. Why Dauphin County CTE?
Okay, all right. So Dauphin County Tech, we're not a school. We're not a typical school. Okay, we're a launching pad. We give the students the knowledge, the skills, the certifications, which I should have talked more about. All of our students leave with at least one certification. Most of them leave with several, so that they're well prepared for the workforce, life after secondary. They come out well-rounded, they come out with a great character education, and they're just, ready for any opportunity that might come their way after graduation.
There you go.
Wonderful. I don't give out many golf claps. That was a fabulous interview, Jason.
Well, thank you.
We're really glad to get to know you. And we talked before we went on the air. We got the bulk of it, I don't want to say out of the way, but now people know who you are and what's going on at Dauphin County CTE. We can have you back again periodically if there's something new going on. If you want to talk about the what's it called, the banquet or the I'm sorry, Bill. No, that was Bill's question. Yeah, so we'll stay friends. How's that sound? We'll bring you back on sometime. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love it. This was fun.
That is Jason Civitello, we now know what an administrative director does. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Best wishes for a great school year.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Nice meeting you.
And we are gonna waste no time before bringing in Jeannie Fortney Webster. And
hi, guys.
I want to mention that we were connected with Mr. Civitello by Jeannie Fortney Webster.
Yeah, what a great interview.
Oh man, that was Bill. What do you think? That was about as good as we've had. I mean, just everything about it.
Oh, you
I
can
think
tell he's very excited about what he's doing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I hate to follow that up. My
That's
goodness.
just so you know, that's like a 6-week process. You connected us about 6 weeks ago, and it just doesn't usually happen overnight. But typically, if we wait and we get the right date and have time to prepare, from both ends, and that was just fabulous. So
Yeah.
whoever was watching tonight or still watching or watches this in the future, please consider Dauphin County Career and Technical Education for your child.
Just to follow that
Yeah,
up,
go ahead.
I know Jason because as a school board director of Central Dauphin, I actually sit on the joint board.
Right.
All the participating schools have 2 school board representatives from their home schools that we sit on a board and make decisions. And honest to God, we are so excited having Jason. He's fairly new. Within the last year, he's come on as our director. And you can just feel his excitement, his passion for what he's doing. He's really rallying the staff and the students. He has just a great vision for moving our tech school forward, and we couldn't be more excited to have him at the helm of leading Dauphin County.
I'd want him educating my son or daughter. I really would. That's the kind of person that I'd want leading up the school that my kid went to. All right, so let's do this. Let's throw this back on again. These are the things we're going to kind of, where is it? We're going to touch on tonight with Jeannie. Jeannie was an 11th hour or a last, just a late ad, let's call it. We just talked, a few hours ago, and thank you for being able to do this.
That's great.
Bill, when I talked to you earlier today, I hadn't talked to Jeannie yet. So these are the things that they're kind of, I think, because like I said, my ear's to the rail. I'm out there, I'm talking to people, and some of the hot topics right now, or some things that people need to be reminded about. Let's just start with Jeannie, I use the term or the word crisis. The school bus crisis, to me, it is a crisis if we're struggling to get our students to and from school. That's when it reaches crisis mode, right?
Yes.
What's going on with the school buses and not having enough drivers?
Well, this is many years in the making. First of all, not many people know that your home school district has to transport all the students to their preferred school, like Trinity, McDevitt. We have to. Charter schools now. So when the charter schools came about, that added an additional burden to the transportation.
Mm-hmm.
The CDL licensing for truck drivers, the bus drivers have to have a CDL license in order to transport. And then it was the pay, to be honest with you. A couple of those things just added to what we're experiencing today with the shortages. Now, in response to the shortages initially, a lot of the bus companies had to raise their
Rate of pay.
Yeah, their pay and some of their benefits to the drivers. Like, I think now, in order to get drivers, you have single moms that have children. They can be on the bus with the parent now. So there was a lot of things that happened in order to get as many bus drivers as we could get, but it's still just not enough.
Right. Yeah. So, so what we want people to realize or understand is that the districts, at least you can speak for your district, you guys care a lot. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And it has to be something that's, that's being discussed like constantly every day, beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, the next day. How are we going to get these kids to and from school,
And honestly, we saw a huge issue around COVID when the schools went back, but the bus drivers were getting COVID, and there were a lot of shortages then.
Right.
We really had to maneuver and figure out a way to get these kids to and from school.
Okay, so let's jump over to Landisfield. Now, this is 3 years in, I believe. 3 years in. I'm just guessing. Is it?
Well, in speaking to our superintendent, the actual policy actually went in right after COVID. So we were
So-
befuddled that this became such a hot topic when, it's 5 years in the making. So
Okay. All right.
I think it was a slow news week. And
Okay. I was way off
But
then.
what can you explain exactly what's going on? Because I'm not in the know. I mean, I really don't know.
How about if I set Jeannie up here?
Okay.
It's a 5-year-old policy now. Now, this is a policy that we probably benchmarked from another district somewhere out there. And now people are in the area are benchmarking it following us with the same or very similar policy. This is going on all over the country. Okay. This or something very similar. In order to attend, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to kind of nutshell it here. In order to attend home football games at Landis Field, whether you're Central Dauphin East fan, I guess Steel High for one game this year. I don't know how that will be dealt with. Maybe they can deal with it the way they want to, the Steel High people, but maybe not. You must be 18 years of age or over, be a high school student who has a student ID or sports pass from Central Dauphin East, or Dauphin County Technical School. A parent or guardian is not required to accompany a high school student, okay, who comes from one of those schools. Now, let me just kind of wrap it up here with, if you're under high school age, okay, which is going to be the 12, 13, 14, some 14-year-olds, you must have a parent or, I think, official guardian. You can't have just, Mrs. Jones from down the street bringing in 11 kids, right, Jeannie? That's not the way it works. So what they're doing, and I will say this, I did say I would let Jeannie explain it, but I want to say this because I don't want Jeannie to have to talk about this. I saw it myself, okay, when I was going to every home game, Central Dauphin home games, East High home games. The kids were, and most of them were kids, but they were just running rampant, okay? It was intimidating. I would feel kind of intimidated, not shaking in my boots, but it was hard to get from the field out the gate because the kids were just flying all over the place. One time I had to put my arms up like that just to get through. And I saw a visiting fans coming from, of course, the visiting bleachers. They were scared. They were intimidated to walk out the gate to go back to their car. Okay. So this is why, because of that, and this wasn't once or twice. This was happening regularly. Landis Field has become the hub for all the local school districts' kids. Of course, the Central Dauphin, but then you have the McDevitt kids. That's not a district, but there's kids there that hang out at Landis. The Susquehanna Township, the Harrisburg, the Steel High, probably some Middletown kids, maybe some LD. It's kind of the hub where they all flock to because it's kind of the middle of everything. It's a cool place. It's a cool facility. Easy for their parents to drop them off and pick them up. How accurate was I with all that, Jeannie?
You are absolutely correct in everything you said. I mean, just think about Friday night football. If there is a school that has an away game, those kids are showing up at Landis Field if we have a home game. And we have a home game every Friday night. So it's very consistent. Either it's CD or it's CDE's play. And not to mention, because you have those kids that are unattended, they're a little more apt to do things that they normally wouldn't do when their parents are around.
Right.
And the security that we had to garner just to put on a game that was safe for fans and spectators and even the players became unmanageable. Our taxpayers just couldn't continue to have that burden just for security for a football game.
The kids would be doing this right in front of the cops anyway. I watched it went from 2 cops to 4 to 8, and the cops were just building up. There would be more and more, and the kids were doing the same stuff right in front of them.
Yeah. So, pick your poison, I guess.
Right.
We had some games we'd have to ask administrators, staff to come in for extra assistance just to keep an eye on the kids.
Right.
It just became unmanageable. So, this is no different than what anyone else is doing. I mean, you can see with Wanda Williams in Harrisburg and instituting a curfew. Same type of kid that just ruins it for everybody. But it didn't just stay at the stadium. It manifests into the parking lot, and as kids were walking home. So we try to have that safety for the kids and everyone throughout the whole process.
Yeah,
And that's
nobody's
our way
trying
of
to be a. I'm sorry, Jeannie. I just want to say nobody's trying to be a killjoy here. Nobody hates
Right.
kids. I mean, Jeannie does this because she loves kids. Okay, that's why you're a school board member. But at some point, you just can't allow everything doesn't fit together. You got the game. You got the viewing fans that are showing up that are watching their loved ones play, and it just doesn't all fit together anymore. So that's that. I just kind of feel the need to let people know that this is not being done quickly, frivolously, abruptly, without any thought, without any investigation. This is being done out of necessity.
I got a question. Quick, just one question. Whenever the process of getting into the stadium now, I imagine it takes a little bit longer because they're checking IDs.
Not much. They do a good job. They expedite things.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, you always have some lines at those big games, but I was surprised the last time I went to the game last year. It was in and out. I mean,
Okay.
they did a fantastic job getting the fans in.
They I think they were probably trained at some point. I mean, I don't know how. This isn't like days and days of training, but they were trained how to do it because they're very good at it. The people at the gate, and they keep the crowd flowing in.
Absolutely, and like I said, this is 5 years in the making, so they've had plenty of experience doing it and getting the fans in.
We'll say
I'm thinking about going to the game on the Friday, so I don't have to show my ID, do I?
No.
Maybe.
It all depends what wig you wear, Bill.
Okay.
All right. So we kind of save the best for last here, or the lightest for last. And that is the new Central Dauphin School District logo.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show the old one. The old one was just the Apple part of this. It wasn't the whole, of course, all the script and stuff, but the Apple part, which was a nice looking logo.
Not bad.
But sometimes it's time for change, and it was time for change. I think the cool thing, I know the cool thing is that my understanding is, Jeannie, this was an ex-student who's now, I think, a freshman in college, a girl, a woman, who designed this, and that just makes it all the more cool. Yeah. What can you tell us about this logo? What went into it, and how proud you guys are to have? You have a T-shirt on with the logo. Yep, there we go. Tell us about the logo.
Well, the logo was the inspiration of our new superintendent. The way it started was in order to get to know the students, staff, taxpayers, whatever, he implemented a program where he would have, I believe it was 10 CD seniors and 10 East High seniors come together and meet with him on a monthly basis, just to try to pick their brains, get suggestions from them, how to improve the district from their eyes and from where they are. And out of that came the logo contest, because we've had the Apple for years and years and years.
Yep.
And it was just a way to, get the kids involved in that process and feel some ownership. And a part of that is unity within the district. Yes, there's an East side. Yes, there's a CD side, but how can we come together as a district? So we had opening day for the staff on Monday, and this is where I got my T-shirt. And it was all about keeping our focus on the kids. I think, and I'm going to lightly quote this, but our superintendent said, "It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about our children.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we come together to make this better for our children?"
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the priorities is our focus is getting back to our children. And this was just one thing that he did that was an example of him actually doing that.
Okay.
I just told Jason I don't give out many golf claps, but
I know.
I'm a Central Dauphin grad, and I like to see things like this, and it's just really cool. And It has an element of fun to it, you know.
Yeah, and it just like she can be proud of that for years to come, you know. And I don't know. In the opening day, I told the superintendent he had me to tears twice through that.
Wow.
It's just we're in such a renaissance and a rebirth of our district, where you could just feel the spirit. The you can't even explain it.
Right.
It is just. I have such great hopes for our kids.
That's
It's
great.
great time to be alive at Central Dauphin.
Good.
Yeah, let's acknowledge Tim McCarthy. He's
Yep.
been watching, and
Yeah, we're just going to back up quick. We just want to mention Tim McCarthy. He was talking about the Landis Field, the rules for entry. He said it's for accountability for unaccompanied minors, and then he says have a great football season. So we're going to
Thank you.
assume that he's talking about the East and the CD side. So thank you, Tim, for watching. I think
Thank
that's
you,
going to
Tim.
do it, Jeannie. Go ahead. Anything else that you want to talk about?
Just an interesting fun fact. My mother's maiden name is McCarthy.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
Interesting. We love interesting fun
Interesting.
facts. And we are going to try to get this young lady on the show who designed the logo, if we can track her down and she wants to do that.
Well, and two, mainly the students actually picked the logo, so that was the ending part to that.
Okay.
We had about 100 submissions to that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they.
Well, how'd you weed those down to a manageable number, Jeannie?
I don't know what the criteria was, but the superintendent and their staff whittled that down to, I think, like 10 manageable ones.
Okay.
And then the students pick that. So total ownership on the students.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeannie. Jeannie
Thank you.
Webster. Are you the mother hen of the Central Dauphin School Board?
Oh no! I don't think you can control any of those cats. There's a lot.
Are you the longest tenured?
No, Eric is.
Okay.
Eric
All right.
was there a year before I got on the board.
All right.
Eric
So-
Epstein.
But
Yeah, I
you
had
do
a 2-year hiatus.
You do a great job. You and I just met a few years ago, but I think I know you well enough that you really care about what you're doing, and
I
you have
do.
a lot of excitement about your fellow board members,
Mhm.
about Superintendent Eric Turman, and about everything that's going on at Central Dauphin School District. And I love to see that, Jeannie.
Oh, thank you. It's a great time to be alive in Central Dauphin School District.
We'll look you up again soon, okay?
Sounds good. No problem.
Have a great evening.
Yeah, good
You
night.
too.
Take care.
Good night.
All right, Bill. Jeannie Fortney Webster. Can we call her our go-to Central Dauphin School Board, school district board member?
Well, we've talked to 6. I'm not sure you want to acknowledge one go-to person, but she's definitely one.
Well, I always say that because I don't really have as close a relationship with any of the other ones. I know Eric a little bit. I would pick the phone up and call Eric, and you know what? They've all made themselves available to the point where I would probably be comfortable with talking to any of them.
Absolutely.
But I talked to her only just hours ago, and she got herself together and got on the show. So we're close to an hour in, but let's just kind of touch on some of this other stuff, Bill, because I said we would, and these are things that maybe we can kind of set this stuff up for an upcoming show. It's going to be for the viewers. It's going to be the 3 things along the bottom. I was going to kind of touch base on the general election and the Lower Paxton Township supervisors. There's 4.
Right.
There's 4. Go ahead, talk about that. Bill.
There's 5 supervisors, and
5.
4 out of the 5 seats are up for election. Normally, you have 1 or 2 at a time. This is 4, so we're looking at a potential, huge change in the leadership of the township. And I think it's very, very important that we have a good idea what each one of these candidates are looking to do, what their emphasis is going to be, and that kind of thing. Now, as far as the election, Joe, the 4 seats. You want me to just run down very quickly?
Who's going up against whom?
Yeah, and there's one 6-year term. That's a full term as a supervisor. 6 years. That's the commitment they're making. We have Catherine or Kate Scheib. She goes by, I think, Kate or Katie. Kate Scheib.
She goes by Kate or Katie. Yes, you're right.
And then she's going to be up against Laura Kurtz, who is the current interim board chairman. So that's for the 6-year seat. And then there's a 4-year seat. This is when the seat that Chris Judd formerly had. And in that race, let's see, we have John Jeam, I believe, is going to go up against Robin Lindsay for that seat. Okay, and Robin is formerly was a board chairman and left the board earlier this year and then hooked up with the Democratic Party. She's running as a Democrat this time instead of a Republican. And then John Jeam is a fairly new one as an interim, and we're getting to know him a little bit. So that's that race, and that'll be a big race right there. And then there's 4 candidates running for 2-year terms. So there's 2 seats. Both of those seats are 2-year terms. 4 candidates. The top 2 will be selected. The top 2 vote getters will get the 2 seats. You have Dr. Charles Stewart, Alan McCormick, who's currently an interim supervisor. And then we have, let me look here, Jill Vecchio was the last one to be selected as an interim supervisor. And the 4th one is John Campbell. So those are the candidates that are going to be doing it and how things break down.
Bill, you nailed it. That's exactly what I wanted done. We don't have time. I mean, we have plenty of time to dive into this and, peel some layers off over the next couple of months. But I just
we hope to have some of the candidates on the show.
People are confused, and I have been too, as to who's going up against whom, how long the terms are. So thank you for clearing some of that stuff up for us. How about, and again, we're not going to get into this too much, but What is kind of the fallout from this Coons fireworks? Have you heard anything about? I mean, we're still way 11 months off until the 10 or 11 months off. Do you think they're going to still have the fireworks without Linglestown Fire Company?
Yeah, who's to say? I mean, this whole thing changed just within the last week or two whenever Linglestown Fire Company, volunteer fire company, decided that given everything that's happened over the last 3 years with problems with the youth primarily coming in here unaccompanied, without no parents and all that kind of thing, this is not the right fit for the fire company anymore.
I don't blame them, Bill.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I try to stay as neutral as I can be, and by making that statement, it sounds like I'm on the side of the fire company, but I guess I sort of am for this one. I mean, they're putting up money, which means they're stamping that they're giving their approval of we endorse this, we back this. Right. This is something that we're stamping, and it just has turned into something that they don't want to stamp anymore or endorse anymore.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do, those who didn't attend, it was very well attended this year, but there was a huge number of youth, teenagers who didn't have any parental guidance. They were just there on their own, similar to the football thing we just talked about. Right. And there were problems during, prior to the show, and then after the show, as they exited the park, it was like a stampede. I mean, they were going through the town. There was a horse policeman, what do you call it, mounted policeman going in the square, on the sidewalk, trying to keep things under control.
Oh my! Yeah.
So it just didn't fit anymore. So but now I think really what we're going to look at is that the township, and specifically the Township Parks and Recreation Department, will take a look if they want to pick this up, where they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, that kind of thing. Right. And I think that's really where it stands right now.
That's good enough. Thank you, Bill. And then the last thing is, you and I talked, I think today, or last couple of days, about the Colonial Park Mall. Is there anything new with that? I know you talked to somebody from the community about that. Is there anybody we could get on here to maybe talk to us about it, or have you heard any updates?
Well, the only update I had to interact with the mall manager on Monday night when we had a pop-up newsroom there in the food court. There was a little bit of confusion as to what we were doing, and he may be a good contact person. I don't know what freedom he has with his company to come on a show like this. But
were they looking to throw you guys out, Bill?
He was looking to shut it down because he thought it was going to be a formal event, like speakers and you know, spotlights and the whole thing. And it was 7 people sitting around a table.
You guys certainly didn't look like the hole in the wall gang or anything like that.
Yeah, I went up to the office, which is right in the center of the mall. And I'm banging on the window. Yeah, I'm trying to get this guy to come out.
Don't get my new friend Bill Truesdale in any trouble.
No, and so he was not in the office, and then I went back to where we were meeting, and the security guard said, "He's coming back. Go back and see him." So I did, and we worked things out. Thankfully, I appreciate his help because I didn't go through the formal channels that they would like.
Right.
But
So
I'll have to talk to him later.
Nothing worth reporting new on the mall.
Not really. He was helpful.
It's still open. You can still go in there and walk. You can still go in there and kind
The
of.
mall is very good inside.
Right.
It's clean. The bathrooms are clean. There's a security guard there to have some. So they're doing the right things. And the manager did say that the new owner, which came on board in September of 2024, a company out of Massachusetts that has other properties around the country, they've spent $2 million to transform the Bonton location into a high-tech trampoline park. I mean, it's fantastic looking. If you go on Lincolnstown Gazette and look at the report about the pop-up newsroom we had, at the bottom there's an update and there's a link to. You can take a look at what it looks like. I mean,
So that's happening. That's for happening for sure.
Happening,
Okay.
and maybe sooner than later it'll be open.
Okay. All right.
So,
Cool. So here, this is what they call a segue in the business, Bill. They call this a segue.
okay.
We will bring you more news on Colonial Park Mall as we get it, but Lincolnstown Gazette also stays on top of stuff like this, right, Bill?
I am now after this experience and meeting the mall manager, having a talk with a former Lower Paxton Township official who worked for a year on this, trying to get some things moving. He's very knowledgeable. That's Jeff Clare. I appreciate his time. Yesterday, I believe I talked to him. So yeah, we're gonna follow this up for sure. It's not at the top of the list, but we're gonna get to it.
That was my segue to give you the opportunity to talk about what's going on with Lincolnstown Gazette. This is not Lincolnstown Gazette Sports. This is the local news outlet that Bill started in 2006.
Yeah, somewhere around there. History is escaping me at this point. It's been so long. My 4th attempt to try to do this, and things are moving along very, very nicely. I mean, having 7 people come out to a pop-up newsroom, I mean, that blows me away. It really does, because people have to get out of their home, drive over there, come into the mall. They may not have known exactly what they're going to find at the mall. Fortunately, it's good things. And so I'm getting some volunteer help. We have a crime reporter now who is monitoring some crime websites locally, and various people who give me things. The hardest part is for me to keep up with it because I still have family responsibilities and I have a job. So that's the biggest thing. And right now we're transitioning into a time frame where we have to set the business side of this thing up. Last thing, Joe, this is a community effort. There's no professionals. I mean, I'm a professional journalist, but I'm not being paid in this role. Everyone that works with us will be a community member, not paid, at least initially. So this is really, if the local community here in Central Dauphin School District wants to have local news, this is an opportunity to say yes. It could be a donor. You could get involved with one thing a month would even help. And I'll get a list out of opportunities where people can get involved directly with collecting news.
Wonderful.
And I think we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Bill. Lincolnstown Gazette, I think it's going to be a very valuable, I know it will be, part of our community once it already is, but once it's up and it's kind of grown wings and gets to the point where you're hoping it does, this is just going to be something really, really exciting for us all. Yep. So let's thank once again our main our first segment guest for tonight, our main guest, Jason Civitello, the administrative director from it's called Dauphin County Career and Technical Education.
It says on their logo, DC Tech. Did you see that? He has DC.
Dauphin County Tech.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just learned that tonight, so I have to
Me
start.
too. Me too. Yeah.
I just have to start. But he did a great job explaining what's going on there. The guy's got a lot of energy for that school, for the kids there. So, and then we had Jeannie Fortney Webster, a Central Dauphin School Board member, and she came in and talked about some of what I consider to be some of the hot topics. So, if you're just tuning in over the last 5 minutes or so, go back and watch Jason and Jeannie. They did a great job, and we're going to thank the Robert H. Hoke American Legion Post 272, Team Pennsylvania, Team PA, AAU Basketball, and Rickabaz Electric once again for being our sponsors for the show. We are sourcing that man, George Hartwick III, Dauphin County Commissioner, 6th-term commissioner. And whether or not we get him for next week, I don't know for sure, but we'll have something next week, I'm sure. Bill, thank you. Anything else, buddy?
Nope. Good working with you as always.
Yep.
And hopefully people get a chance to watch the show. It's a good
Yep.
one.
Thank you. Thanks, viewers, for tuning in. Have a good evening.